families with Zepbound weight loss overhaul. How the impact of tirzepatide weight loss and GLP-1 weight loss impacts your family. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I have lost over 108 pounds. I'm getting ready to work out after this, which is why I look this way. We're getting our workouts in today and making sustainable lifestyle changes. And on today's episode, there was an article that just came out as of today's filming date in the New York Times about the shifting of families because of GLP-1 medication. So share this video with your bestie if you've got a bestie. There was one component of this that I found so fascinating with my own family life that you very well maybe can relate, or like, oh, that's not going to happen to me. But it was basically this New York Times article that came out, and I will cite my source as always per the usual. Down below, it's in some Ozempic households, the weight loss is contagious, and talks about patients finding their families, there's this massive ripple effect, basically from taking GLP-1 medication. So Amy Kane, she was the one when I was on Oprah, by the way. She was like the main guest when I was on the Oprah show for the Shane Blaine Weight Loss Revolution back in March of 2024. She was the one that was getting interviewed. Amy is the forefront of this New York Times article talking about, she's 36 years old, lives in Chicago, about how her weight loss journey has transformed her husband and her children and their lifestyle with it. Can you guys relate to this? I totally was like, yes. And then it got into a deep dialogue with the Count and I was curious for you, if you have a partner or if you have kids, how the dynamic has changed as a result of your weight loss journey. For me, it's been very profound. But it talks in this article, the New York Times article, about there's not data yet to show how frequently this might occur with like the familial changes, but medical experts have observed similar effects with other weight loss treatments, says Dr. Lydia Alexander, who is the former president of Obesity Medicine Association. And basically the article goes on to talk about how bariatric patients had this ripple effect too, that there was this study, and it's linked down in the article, about how bariatric patients, found that 2/3 of partners lost weight within a year of their spouse's bariatric operation. And overweight partners showing the most significant changes. There was another study done, a separate study of participants with diabetes and weight loss program, found that spouses who weren't going under any treatment lost an average of nearly 5 pounds and consumed significantly fewer calories from fat. And anecdotally, providers around the country said that they're already seeing this like ripple effect with families of patients taking the drug Ozempic. Now, I take Zepbound, tirzepatide, Mounjaro, not at the same time, but the variation of those because of the shortages. And for me, over the last 2+ years, over 115 plus GLP-1 injections, for sure it's had a ripple impact for me with the Count. Literally, the Count and I were having coffee this morning, and I was like, how has my GLP-1 weight loss impacted you? First and foremost, like, just being a partner and being able to keep up with him, I think has been one of the best changes. My husband loves to be outdoors, loves to be very active, and I wasn't before this, and now I can. You'll notice my hat, we love to rescue dogs, we love animals, and so taking care of animals takes physical strength. We were fostering Wilma, who was our Great Pyrenees, which is big dogs, and then went to adopt her. But knowing that we had 2 big dogs that we have to care for, physically walking them, physically taking care of them. But with that ripple effect, my husband works out now more. And when I was asking him this morning, I was like, you work out? No, he does P90X, the 30-minute version. He's jacked. He's gotten so muscular. I'm like, you go, babe. I think part of it, of why he's gotten so jacked, is because of me. Is that not like narcissistic to say? But I really do think that I have had a ripple effect on our health of definitely, there's been pockets of where I go down to lift. I go down to lift weights. And my husband was like, oh, I wasn't planning on lifting today. And you're lifting? And I'm like, yep. And then he goes and lifts. And he's like, I'm not going to let you win. And I'm like, I know. He doesn't say it like that. But he's like, I'm not going to let you beat me in terms of working out. And there's been pockets too of where he's been lifting and it's motivated me to go lift. Or well, I'll go walking and then he's like, can I come with you? Or like eating off of my meal plan. He has been super, super encouraging with that. But also I know my husband loves, we have a particular, if you live near me, the Walking Mall. We love going to the Walking Mall. There's a particular restaurant there. There's a Mexican restaurant there that we absolutely are obsessed with. And my husband loves going there. Plus it's cheap as all get out. Like literally you can go and have this huge like buffet basically of food for a party of 3 for under $70. And that for him includes alcoholic beverages. And it's like, this is so cheap. So cheap and so good. Anyways, I digress. My husband loves going there. We don't go there very much anymore. We used to go there a lot. I'm like, I just don't want, I gotta be in a calorie deficit. We'll go sometimes, but we really don't go that much. And that is because of the GLP-1 ripple effect of A, I'm not as hungry as I am, but B, I'm very persnickety about where I spend my calories. And I love the Walking Malt place. Like I said, it's so good, it's inexpensive, but really for the amount of calories now for tortilla chips or for enchiladas, or I love Mexican food too, other types of food, do I want to invest it in that? Not so much. And so going back to the study about GLP-1 medications, that the medications don't just change appetite, they actually do transform family dynamics. And after 2+ years of being on this medication, for sure I can attest to this. My sweet son is very athletic, he's mobile, loves fruit, loves vegetables. There's been a lot of ripple effects for him seeing his mom go from morbidly obese to now being, I work out and I lift weights and he knows that I am active, like I am active. And that I can physically keep up. And I have wondered, that's been one of my biggest like pain points, is me being morbidly obese, like having people make fun of my kid because his mom's overweight. Like that just really bothered me. And so I feel like I'm somewhat changing that legacy. But earlier this school year, there was a kid that said to my son, "Your mom's fat. She's fat. She's fat. She's fat." And my son told me, and he wasn't telling me to be mean. He was like, "It really bothered me, Mom." And I was like, "Well, what did you say?" We kind of walked through some of this. And it was this awkward moment of where I'm like, but I'm not fat anymore. Like, that's where to me, I was like, wow, like I'm not fat anymore. Like I'm very close. I'm still not to like a quote normal weight. I'm very, very close to it. Like that was eye-opening to me of like, oh wow, still, right? But my kid has seen me know that we have in our family healthful habits that have changed so much. We literally have a refrigerator that's devoted to just fruits and vegetables, and that is very much a luxury. And I get that. I get the privilege in that, like 100%. But I have intentionally done this glass refrigerator so we can see into it, to make it appetizing to have fresh fruits and vegetables. And you know what my kid has? Fresh fruits and vegetables. My husband and I were just talking about that. I don't think we would be as active with fresh fruits and vegetables had it not been for GLP-1. Same things for my working out. But by 2024, about 1 in 8 US adults had taken Ozempic or similar like GLP-1 drugs, meaning tens of millions of spouses, children, and other families could also be experiencing the same effects of these medications without ever taking them. With that, this lifestyle changes. That was one of the things that this New York Times article talks about, of having energy to go do things, to go for walks. When I go on vacations, I very much like to be active now, whereas before I wouldn't really have been as active. That is one of the very much the things that I like to do. And we pick vacations intentionally that are physically rigorous. For spring break, we went to literally a horse camp for our family where we can like a high-end. It was high-end and awesome in Tucson, Arizona. It was so, so fabulous. So we could be physically active and be outdoors. We like to go to Disney because you walk so much. Being physically, I mean, it's Disney, but being physically active with that. We like to go to the beach because we can swim in the pool every day. We can walk on the beach every day. We can go in the ocean. We can do physical things. We can go fishing and things like that. Like there's a lot of physicality with these vacations and downtime. And that is a result of the GLP-1 diet for me. I know my husband likes to be active, but I would not voluntarily do that stuff. I am voluntarily, I'm like, let's go be active. Let's go do things. That is because obesity is a family affair, truly. And this article goes into talk about it, about households feel the overwhelmingly positive, but they do come with risks, especially for children. Unlike bariatric surgery, which requires a hospital stay, it's possible for parents to discreetly take weekly weight loss injections like Ozempic, without their children recognizing. And so watching your parent lose weight, not understanding what can be real negative message for kids, says a professor of human development and family science at Ohio State University. So they, because they're watching their parents without explanation, they, meaning children, could be skipping meals, themselves or eating less, and it could be sending a negative message to kids. And so if kids begin defining themselves skipping meals, thinking that they're following the healthy example of their parents because their parents are eating less, that was one of my questions for you. And one of the unexpected things for me as an example for my kid that I did not want to pass along of like, for me being open, but that's something I don't know if I've been in that, I don't know if I've been the best navigating that water with my kid on GLP-1 medication of where do you be open, and this is me being fully like authentic and raw, of like, where do you be open with your kid about this? That's where I don't know. And I do say that my son knows I'm on medication and it helps with my health and it helps mom stay healthy, and I need it like how someone would need for high blood pressure, things like that. It's to help me with my to help me. And so he understands that component, and he's almost 10. So this is where as a parent I am seeking to make sure I'm sharing with him to be the best example I can be, and for his own mental well-being of watching me literally lose 108 pounds. My kid's not dumb. He's really, really bright and picks up on stuff. And so that example for my son and this article pointing that out, I thought was really, it was like, oh, very surprising for me. Like, oh, I hadn't really thought about that, of having these discussions, my discussions, because of my past, my upbringing of talking about staying, eating healthy foods for ourselves, for our muscles, for our nutrition, taking that angle as opposed to like looking good. And that for me was something I was programmed for, that I wanted to break the mold for my kid, that I ate healthy, not for like the vanity component of it, but it's truly for health and it's truly for the wellness of my muscles, bones, cells, and things like that. And that's why I also move. But having kids see us lose weight, they're not dumb. And skipping meals and things like that without knowing that there's a science component behind it, where do we share that as parents? That's been something that's interesting for me to navigate, that I don't know if I've done the best job, but I'm certainly, because of this article, this New York Times article, been having this conversation and more aware of it now of like, I like to be very open and honest with my kid. And so how to use this, how to talk about this, and even talk about like food noise. Like, does this article in the New York Times talks about how food noise can affect our kids too. I had food noise when I was young. And so talking to my kid about that, I think is definitely something I'm going to start venturing into to see if he has that. I don't think so, but now I'm curious of like food noise, food chatter, things like that. That obsession for me started very, very young. I can distinctly remember at my grandma's house. I love my grandma so much. My grandma Nadine, my middle name is Nadine, my daughter's name is Nadine, my company's Nadine. So if you see Nadine, that is a very, and we have Nadines in the audience. So if you're a Nadine, love you. It's a very, very special name to me. And so at my grandma Nadine's house, she'd always have cheese balls. And so when I was younger, we didn't have cheese balls at my house. And so I would just get on a loop where I'd literally eat like a bag of cheese balls, and God bless, my grandmother would like, she never said anything. I think partially because she also had her own obesity issues. And so talking about this, the food noise for me started, I can distinctly remember with those cheese balls, and very, very young. And so going through these, talking about explaining obesity as a disease, and going in, it talks in there about mental health, or talking about high cholesterol. I don't know for me if I would take the avenue of mental health with it, because to me it's a science issue. Being morbidly obese and obese is literally a disease, and that's a science thing that I feel very comfortable in staying in that lane versus like the mental health component of it. And they're talking about the story further in this New York Times article about like the mental health component of it. But studies have found that people undergoing bariatric surgery, and I've done a whole episode on this, so make sure you click that like and subscribe, and you can binge watch, a lot of people do, my 600 plus GLP-1 videos. One of those videos talked distinctly about this study, about finding people undergoing bariatric surgery are more likely than the general population to break up with or divorce their partners. I found that fascinating when I did that story back in the day, and I find it fascinating now. On the other hand, research also has shown that single patients who underwent the procedure are more than twice as likely to enter in a new relationship as people with obesity who did not have the bariatric surgery. I find that fascinating. I find, which makes sense. It clocks. It clocks. Studies have found that people undergoing, let me go back to this next part. Okay, ideally doctors could talk with patients as they start taking these drugs. Are you having a romantic relationship right now? And for sure, people always want me to talk about the actual relationships. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. You can talk about that. You guys are my besties. If you've made it this far, you're one of my besties. But besties, I'm not doing that on the internet. No, 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 no. That's not my, I'm not going down that path. But it talks in here about that component for your romantic part of your relationship. For sure, there's changes with people with that too. And then that affects relationships as well. In my free private group on countessofshopping.com/group, it's not the Facebook group anymore. That Facebook is shutting down GLP-1 groups. I literally yesterday got dinged in that group from something that was posted months ago that was completely benign, and Facebook found it as inflammatory, and I got dinged again. And I'm like, I'm not even doing that account, and my account's still getting dinged, which is why the account and I, at great time and cost, have created countessofshopping.com/group, a private group. You have to log in, you have to make a profile intentionally to keep it a safe, private space for people. But in that group, we've talked about this, about how relationships change. Relationships with your partner. And for me, that is the most important relationship for sure. So it's going through, the most surprising part about weight loss was having to recalibrate planning meals, cooking for family, and how that affects your family too. Of cooking, you know, definitely with children, if you're the main one who's cooking, for sure that helps redefine the relationship as well. And so what you do with your partner changes. For me, walking the dogs more, that was always the part of my husband's in my life. But for you and your partner, have the things that you do now because of GLP-1 medication, because you can physically move, has that changed? For sure. My husband loves riding roller coasters. Guess what we're doing more of this summer? Riding more roller coasters. My son likes it too, but like my husband loves that. And so doing different things as a result of being physical, because you can. Right? Which is why, for example, for spring break, we went to a dude ranch. We went to a horseback riding camp, and it was so awesome. We did that because I physically could get on a horse, and I had not been able to. If you guys didn't see the episode of me talking about my non-scale victories of getting on a horse and being able to ride, it has been, in fact, my hair still smells like horses. I need to go wash it after my workout. Being able to go ride as a result of GLP-1 medication, what a gift. So my sweet friends, I found this article fascinating. I'm going to link it down below. We do an accountability question. What are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Tell me down in the comments below. Number 2, many of you guys have asked me about my collagen favorites. I will link those down below. We have the Clean Simple Eats, the collagen. I love the strawberry colada is my favorite one out of their, they have a variety pack. That, and then also the other collagen from Clean Simple Eats, the mushroom breakthrough. I like to put that in my coffee. It does not taste like mushrooms. The flavor I like most out of that one is the salted caramel. I think I'm going to try to see if it's good in iced coffees. Has anybody done that? Made an iced coffee with the Clean Simple Eats mushroom breakthrough? It has, by the way, bovine collagen and marine collagen in it. So I typically have one of these and then one of those coffees per day to get my collagen allotment. It's not every day, but that's what on the days that I can. So our accountability question, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? And our question of the day is ball cap, or our emoji of the, not question of the day, our emoji of the day. And I do emojis of the day to get to know you better because I care, and seeing emojis is a quick way for us to interact together and for the repetition of me seeing your name pop up over and over. Our community member spotlight, this is from YouTube, and they give me the community member spotlight, the best ones for this week are Amy, Marjorie, Michelle, Mandy, Rebecca, Sarah, Cloaky, Jean, Mindy, Daba, Angie, Thelma, Pamela, Dawn, Susan, Charlotte, Rachel, Candy, Mary Beth, Tracy, Sue, Danae, Marcy, Karma, Tammy, Alicia, Michelle, Kelly, Chelsea, Blue Rose, Alice, Ashton, Brenda, Virginia, Monica, Lori, Robin, Kelly, and Mary. If your name's not on there, you're still an amazing community member. This is picked through YouTube, not from me. But put the emoji of the day down below, and that emoji, which is ball cap, is my signal to pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, uplift you in positive thought. My beautiful friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Tell me down below, how have your relationships changed as a result of GLP-1 medication? I'm super curious. And we'll also pick up this conversation in my free encouragement group. Love you guys. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye, friends.